In the American Grain, a collection of prose by William Carlos Williams, the author delves into the lives of significant historical figures in North American history, spanning from the Vikings to Abraham Lincoln. Williams adopts various narrative perspectives throughout the essays, including those of the subjects themselves or a curious narrator fascinated by the individuals being discussed. The collection comprises historical essays, character sketches, and narrative accounts, occasionally incorporating excerpts from journals, letters, and other primary sources related to the historical figures. Although primarily known as a poet, Williams ventured into prose, novels, and other forms of writing. In the American Grain, published in 1925, stands as one of his early non-poetic works. The 20 essays are organized chronologically, exploring recurring themes such as the act of discovery and the inherent tensions between ideas. The collection begins with prose from the viewpoint of Eric the Red, who, after committing a murder, flees Norway and settles in what he refers to as Greenland. Meanwhile, Eric's son, Leif, on his return journey from Norway to Greenland, is blown off course and lands in a place they named Vinland the Good. Eric and a group of settlers join Leif in Vinland, establishing the first European settlement in North America. However, internal conflicts within the group lead Eric to doubt the survival prospects of the settlement and the overall European presence in the New World. The collection also includes an essay centered around Christopher Columbus, presented both about him and from his perspective. The narrative is briefly interrupted by an unnamed narrator who ponders whether Columbus was a great man or merely an inevitable figure, given that the discovery of the West Indies was bound to happen sooner or later. The subsequent chapters of In the American Grain delve into the exploits of various Spanish conquistadors as they embark on exploitative adventures in Central America and the southern regions of what would later become the United States. The narrative then shifts geographically with an essay dedicated to Sir Walter Raleigh. Through the invocation of a muse, the narrator dreams of Raleigh's potential impressions of America had he been granted the opportunity to travel there. Following Raleigh's chapter, the focus turns to the Pilgrims, with the narrator expressing disdain for the self-righteousness and hypocritical piety of the Puritans. Despite their austere way of life being suitable for settlers, the narrator suggests that the Puritans may have hindered rather than facilitated the continent's development. The subsequent chapter explores French expeditions in what would eventually become Quebec. Once again, the narrator finds fault with the Puritans in the chapter titled The Maypole at Merry Mount. Here, the Puritans arrest and exile a settler for his drunkenness. The following essay portrays a battle between good and evil through the lens of the Salem witch trials. Williams then presents a chapter where he writes as himself, immersing readers in the Parisian art world of the 1920s. As an American, Williams grapples with the lingering influence of the Puritans on American culture, which stands in contrast to French culture. The subsequent chapter narrates the story of Daniel Boone, whom the narrator considers a prototype of a virtuous American. Boone, while maintaining his European roots, embraces and adapts to Native American culture instead of attempting to conquer the land. George Washington takes center stage in the following chapter, with the narrator suggesting that he was ultimately rejected by the American people. The subsequent chapter of In the American Grain features Benjamin Franklin, who writes under a pseudonym, elucidating his beliefs on what constitutes an ideal American colonist. Franklin emphasizes the importance of hard work and the opportunity to shape the vast potential of North America. Following this, American naval commander John Paul Jones recounts his fierce and triumphant battle against the British vessel Serapis in a letter addressed to Franklin. In the chapter titled Jacataqua, the narrator reflects on the role of women in the New World and laments how Puritan society undermined their confidence and power. Jacataqua, a member of the Abenaki tribe, and her hunting party encounter Aaron Burr, leaving him speechless in awe of her unadulterated strength. The subsequent chapter presents a debate between two individuals discussing the significance and reliability of history. In Advent of the Slaves, Williams offers his observations on the African Americans he has encountered and contemplates their contributions to American culture. The narrative then shifts to Descent, where Sam Houston navigates a failed marriage and a life among Native Americans before ultimately achieving glory in the liberation of Texas. Edgar Allan Poe receives commendation from Williams for being the first American author to cultivate a distinctly American literary style rather than imitating British counterparts. In the final chapter, Williams contemplates Abraham Lincoln and his assassination as the culmination of centuries-long tensions in North America. These tensions encompass the conflict between Puritan and Catholic values, apprehension towards the New World versus adaptation to it, and the dichotomy between liberality and conservatism. Upon its initial release, In the American Grain faced criticism for being dismissed as a work of fabricated history. During a time when white, European American history was glorified while other narratives were marginalized, Williams's critical portrayal of some revered American heroes provoked backlash. The book and Williams himself received limited attention until the 1950s when his poetry began to regain prominence in scholarly discussions. Re-evaluated as a work of art and a quest for significance rather than a mere endeavor to depict historical accuracy, the book has gained increasing popularity. It resonates with the American public as they grow more willing to explore alternative and sometimes uncomfortable versions of American history. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did and be sure to subscribe. Thank you.